Alright, let's not waste any time. Let's go over Clorinde's build, what weapons and artifacts will be best suited as well as team comps, and what does she do exactly in simplest terms in case you're a little bit confused. Her regular attacks don't do anything at all. When you use her skill, then your regular attacks mean everything. She's a main on-field DPS. When you use her skill, all damage in your regular attacks will be regular attack damage, not skill damage. She'll get Electro Infusion and she'll shoot off her gun like crazy. Spam the shit out of that until you get enough Bond of Life, then you click her skill again, and now her regular attacks will change again, but she'll be lunging with her sword dealing electro damage and area of effect damage. All scaling off attack, and you can convert back and forth between the gun and the lunging, and your skill duration will last 9 seconds. Her burst does just one crazy ass electro damage, area of effect damage, attack, and gives you 120% Bond of Life. As long as you're over 100% Bond of Life, when you use her skill, you'll be able to maximize it out for the most part. When you use her skill, she cannot heal, but she can heal herself. Any excess healing you get from other teammates do give her more Bond of Life instead of healing her. So they are useful. And her Electro Infusion cannot be overridden by any. So essentially you're just using her skill and then doing regular attacks as often as possible. The more Bond of Life you get, the better. The more reactions you cause buff her attack as well. Her Ascension stat is crit rate, and she scales off attack. The only thing that scales off HP is her Bond of Life accumulation, but that's not really going to hinder you if you're not investing heavily in her HP. So with that out of the way, let's actually get into her builds here, and I don't think it's going to be super complicated. So, right off the bat, you want to go for the new artifact set that benefits from Bond of Life, the Ancient Sea set. The same set Arlecchino's using. You get an 18% attack bonus, which she scales off attack for all her damage. And when your Bond of Life increases or decreases, this character deals 18% extra increased damage for 6 seconds, max 3 stacks. So you're going to get a ton of extra damage from just having this artifact set because Clorinde's Bond of Life is going to fluctuate all the time. So this set's made for both of them. If you haven't farmed this setup yet, you can easily put the Thundering Fury set, maybe even the Thunder Soother set, or a combination between those two in like a 2-piece Gladiator set. And if you have a really good Remembrance set that increases your regular, normal, and charge attacks through your skill, I mean that'll work just fine too, but in the long run I would go for her best in slot for sure once it's farmed up. As for actual stats on these artifacts, I would just go for your standard DPS. Attack percent with your cup I would put as a electro damage bonus. Myself, attack percent will be fine as well if you don't really have attack percentage ones that are any good, and obviously crit damage is going to be the key here because her substats are crit rate, and she has a passive talent that helps get her crit rate as well. So crit damage is what you're going to want to invest in for her crown piece and substats. Obviously a little extra crit rate too isn't going to hurt either, but she'll have plenty of that through her own leveling up in talents. As for weapons, besides her signature weapon, obviously, the one that I'm going to be personally using is the Mist Splitter because it has really high crit damage, base attack, and you get electro damage bonus by 12%. And not only that, but the aesthetic of this weapon fits her as well. Another good option is the Black Cliff because it has a really high crit damage as well, not as high of a base attack, but honestly, I don't really have a lot of 5-star weapons, and I've used this one plenty. It works very well. And after defeating opponents, attack is increased by 12%, so the actual ability for this sword works really well with Clorinde as well. The Black Sword, crit rate, ascension stat, and increases damage dealt by normal and charge attacks by 20%. So it's got a good ability. The Black Sword wouldn't be my top choice because, like I said, you need more crit damage than crit rate, but in the meantime, if you don't have a crit damage sword, this one will do her just fine. As long as you invest heavily in crit damage and artifacts, go all in. As far as team comps, honestly, it's not really complicated. Some Hyper Bloom variations will do her well. Some Overload or Electro Charge teams will do her very well. National team. As long as you're causing electro reactions with her, she's going to get a lot of damage bonuses. And she's already going to be a very good DPS on her own as it is. She's going to take most of the field time though. So you're going to want to have supports that actually don't require a lot of uptime. So you can use their skills or their burst and then switch back to Clorinde and start accumulating Bond of Life and damage. And like I said, Farina Jean combo will work just fine. Not only will Clorinde be able to get healed by Jean, but you'll get all the damage bonuses from Farina as well, and be able to cause a ton of reaction. Clorinde can also heal and sustain herself, so she doesn't require a healer or a shielder that badly. So you can go all in on offense. That's another really good option with this character because she can self-sustain a bit. Besides that, in my honest opinion, I don't think she's going to be quite as good as Nouvellette, but I think she's going to be damn close. Just from what we have to go off of, I think she's going to be up there with the best of the best when it comes to DPS characters, but something to consider is her kit's going to change a lot in beta before it comes out, so take this all with a grain of salt when it comes to her numbers, but I don't think her team comps and her build will change at all. I just think the actual numbers that she has right now stapled with her, the stacking systems and all that, I think they're going to tweak it a little bit. They might even buff it, who knows, or make it more efficient. So we just got to wait and see what they do with this character in beta. As for this Bond to Life gimmick, obviously Clorinde and Sigewinne, if you can afford or have enough pulls to go for both of them, I mean, they're going to be really, really good together. And Sigewinne's a good support buffer healer hybrid, and Clorinde benefits from having excess healing. She may not be able to be healed when she's in her stance, but she still makes use of that healing because she accumulates it with her bond. So whether you're healing her off screen or she's not getting the benefit of the heals itself, she'll still be able to turn that into damage. Sigewinne also buffs off-field passive skills like Fischl, Dia, Shenhe, characters that use their skill and buff other characters while they're off-field. Sigewinne's going to further buff those buffs. So having like a Clorinde, Nahida, Sigewinne, and then throw someone else in there like Yelan, Xingqiu, that's going to be nuts. Or you could run Clorinde with like Sigewinne and like Clorinde and Xingqiu just for a super duper electro charge team. If you have Sigewinne C2, that'd be broken. As for Bond to Life as a mechanic in its own right, I do think it's just the new form of meta we're going to get in Natlan. Towards the end of a region, we always get this new mechanic. We had this in Sumeru and in Azuma. It was Elemental Mastery for a while, that leaked over into Sumeru, then it started with HP loss with Dia. Now it seems Bond to Life's going to be the new gimmick, so I do think this mechanic will be around for a while, but it doesn't seem all that bad. It does seem like there's a lot more reading when it comes to these talents, but once you understand these kits and the gimmicks, it does make for some pretty good damage, so I hope this was helpful to give you a benchmark on how to build this character. Like I said, she's pretty straightforward to build, but I do hope this was helpful to follow along, start farming. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you're going to be building this character. I personally am so excited for this character. Been waiting 8 months, so finally. And I think this Bond to Life system is going to be sticking around with Natlan coming around the corners. On that note, we will see you all in the next one. Later.